Hello, and welcome to Big Purpose Mastermind. Got a super exciting week ahead. We've got some amazing stuff. I hope that you're enjoying what you're getting here. We're talking Lisa Nichols this week, and boy, I am super excited to share the things that I have found, the insights in her life. Again, she is a master of influence. And let me back up. If this is your first time here, if you don't even know what Big Purpose Mastermind is, what this is it is for anyone who feels they have a calling, a mission, a life's work to accomplish, what I would call a big purpose. And maybe you don't know exactly how you're going to accomplish it. You don't have that all figured out. Well, what this series is we look at different people who are masters of influence, and we figure out what are some things that we could take from their lives and their examples so that we could use that in our lives to maybe make our life work a little bit easier. Hope that makes sense to you. This week, we are looking at Lisa Nichols and the amazing things that she has done. Oh my goodness. So excited about this. And I'll tell you a little bit about her and about her background in just a minute. I do want to just jump in real quick. If you missed any other previous sessions, just make sure you go to School of Humanity TV. That's where we've got all the library there. You can find past sessions there, really cool stuff. So anyway, I wanted to just kind of pass that to you. So the quote of today is, "To know even one life is breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded." Ralph Waldo Emerson said that. Now, today we're talking, actually, you know what? I need to run through the week for you okay. Today we're talking origin story. We're talking, the beginning, how we get over our troubles so that we could truly get out there and serve. And we're going to talk about Lisa's origin story. So actually, I'll run through the week for you real quick. So today we'll talk about her origin story and how she uses that to make a difference. We're going to talk tomorrow about overcoming obstacles, same time, same place, okay? On Wednesday, we'll see how she's using video to accomplish her big purpose. Thursday, we're going to talk about her innovative video strategies, and on Friday, clarity on who she is serving. Okay, so today we're talking about her origin story. Now, I got to tell you, first of all, before I jump to her origin story, I got to tell you a little bit about the reason for even jumping into an origin story. So you understand the idea of origin story, right? Like, you think about that when you think about like superheroes, like Peter Parker gets bit by a spider, a radioactive spider, and that's what gives him his superpowers. Well, a lot of times it is our challenges that give us our superpowers. The obstacles that we have to overcome. And when we truly understand those and accept those, that's when we can have our mess become our message. That's when we can find what it is that we can add value to in this world. Lisa's life has been just absolutely remarkable. I stumbled across her when I was in one of the great pits of my life. I was so struggling, and just I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move forward, and so I started downloading all of these motivational speeches on YouTube. And Lisa was one of those that came up over and over and over again. People just resonated with her. If you do not know Lisa, maybe you already know her and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course. But when I stumbled across her, I was like, oh my goodness, this woman speaks to my soul. She talks about purpose. She talks about just the trouble that she was in and how she got out of that, and how it really through the power of thought and through the power of getting rid of those limiting beliefs. And at that time, I was mired in it. Actually, you know what? I got to tell you, one other thing that I just absolutely love about Lisa is she shows up where she's at. And when she started speaking and started presenting to people, she did it before she was totally through her mess. And when she did that, I think she really connected with other people who said, wow, I'm still in this. She was still in the mess, and it connected with other people who were feeling like they were in their mess and wanted to help getting out. So anyway, if you're watching this live, give me a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, of course, give me a hashtag replay. Love to hear some comments from you on questions you have, or just comments about Lisa. So with that, let me jump into a video that I'm going to share with you. This is one of those where she shares her origin story. So actually, let me give you just a little bit of background on this. One of the things that really launched Lisa is she was invited to be she was invited to be interviewed on a documentary that became The Secret. Okay, you've heard of The Secret, maybe you've watched it, or maybe you don't know about it. Well, The Secret was a documentary that was about the power of our minds, the power of the law of attraction. And an interesting thing about that is none of those people who were interviewed, at least as far as I know, were paid for their interviews. But it gave them tremendous exposure. And she was on that show, and then because of that, she was invited to be on Oprah. And maybe I'll be able to play a clip of her story about going on there too, because again, she was not completely through her mess. She was still struggling. She was still working to make ends meet, but she believed and she had focus. And in doing that, she had that clarity that opened up many paths for, and really got the universe, God, helping, getting everything together for her. So just absolutely remarkable. So right now I'm going to play just a few clips of this as she's sharing her story. Now, the things that I want to point out to you is how she's showing up with authenticity. I mean, it's one thing to, to talk one-on-one to a person and tell them about, all the troubles that you've gone through. It's quite another thing to do that when it's on national TV and it's going out to everyone. So she shows up, pay attention. She shows up authentically. She owns her mess. She owns the trouble that she's in. So let's start out with this. And what she's talking about is she was in this space where she just had to decide, and that's an important word there, decide who she was going to be. So let me turn up my volume so you can hear this. Here we go.
At some point, I have to stop asking, can I be great? Can I be brilliant? Can I be okay and still be accepted? I just stopped asking permission and just gave notice unapologetically, not in a braggadocious way. Not in a way that shrunk anyone else, in a way that said, I only got one life, and I'm going to ride this one till the wheels fall off. And my English teacher said I was the weakest rider she ever met in her entire life.
Okay, I'm just going to stop there. She actually keeps going on. She talks about all of these trials or challenges that she had in her life. I think it's interesting when people achieve amazing success, actually brag about how poor they were, or how, behind, how they had dyslexia, or all of these different challenges that have held them back, the neighborhood that they grew up in and everything. And they brag about that because it shows the difference between where they were and where they are now. And so if you are in those places where you're struggling and you've got all of these challenges, think about what a great story you're going to be able to tell. Okay, because all of these challenges are just stepping stones for you to be able to rise higher. Okay, again, we're talking about superpowers here as she figures out her origin story. I'm going to fast forward here. So, there's another part that is super cool that I think you'll like. I'm going to go to 119. There we go.
She got that $20 in.
Okay, so she's super poor right now.
42 cents.
She's talking about.
And I still can't tell the story without getting emotional because it's my story. For 2 days, I had to wrap my son in a towel. But something happened, Steve, in those 2 days. I was at rock bottom. I was broke and I was broken. Inglewood, California. My son laying on his back at 8 months. I have a towel over him and I have my hand on his stomach saying, "Don't you worry, Jaylani. Mommy will never be this broke again." And I made a decision. I was bankrupt. And every stinking thinking I had, I was bankrupt and trying to protect my pride.
Okay, so I just want to stop there for a second. She's talking about her stinking thinking. She was bankrupt financially, yes, but she was also bankrupt with her thinking, with her thoughts. She was mired down in stuff, and she's talking about, this is where I was. Okay, all right, let's keep going.
I was bankrupt and trying to be all that in a bag of chips and a bowl of grits, falsified. I was bankrupt and trying to not ask anyone for help. I was bankrupt in everything that was holding me and keeping me where I was. I've always talked a good game, but I wasn't doing anything with my gift. And all that thing about potential, I was tired of having potential. I wanted to have my now. And I looked at that baby at 8 months and I said, I want to transform your life because you didn't ask to come into this chaos.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it there. I so love how she shows up with her authenticity, where she's telling this story about where she started, about what life was like, where, she didn't have enough money for Pampers for her kids, where she just this was her rock bottom, but she realized a few things, and so much of it is starting with her mental state. Now, what I find remarkable is that when she started pushing things forward, she started as if she had already arrived. Okay. I mean, I just mentioned a few minutes ago about how people brag about where they started from when they achieve success. Well, it's not that she was bragging, and I'm probably saying that wrong, so that, I don't mean it to sound negative, but she started showing up before she had even achieved this amazing success. I mean, you look at the difference for her right here and where she is, even in this Steve Harvey interview, I mean, that's like two different people. She's continually transforming. She is still moving forward, but she started helping people when she was still kind of she hadn't emerged yet, fully. Isn't that remarkable? You can do this too. You can absolutely help people, even if you're only a little bit further along in the on the trail. So I'm going to go to 353 here. She's got one more remarkable thing. Again, I'm sorry, I keep saying it again. This is all about identity. Understanding your true identity. She understood her identity, and she put a flag in the stand, and she said, "You will not call me this, because this is who I am." So let's listen to this and pay attention. Think about your identity, maybe how you refer to yourself and how you allow other people to refer to you. Here we go.
Why don't you just relax where you are, because that's where you're going to stay. Right. And so are you willing to reinvent who you are? Are you willing to
reinvent who you are?
Procrastination? Are you willing to kill away the excuses, the blame game? I never let people call me a single mom by my title. I'm Lisa Nichols, who happens to be a single mother. Don't define me by my circumstance. Define me by my intention. So it's just really being...
Isn't that beautiful? Oh man, I just got to be just that last little bit one more time, because she's talking to other people, but she's also talking to herself. Do not define me by my circumstances. Define me by my intention. She's thinking forward. She's envisioning who she's going to be. One more time. Here we go.
To be a single mother. Don't define me by my circumstances. Define me by my intention. So it's just really being willing.
Okay. She is making that change happen. Are you willing to make that transformation? Are you willing to figure out who you really are, who your origin story is? You may not be Spider-Man. You haven't been bit by a radioactive spider, but you do have an origin story. And maybe that origin story starts today. Maybe you are starting to figure out who you really are. And maybe your mess becomes your message. You have the power to change people's lives. You have the power. You have a purpose. You have a calling. You have a mission in life. And I hope that you do everything you can to live that. Just as I leave you today, I want to just point out to you, if you've missed previous episodes, go to School Humanity, and you can get free access to all of those here. Marie Forleo, Mel Robbins, Les Brown, some really amazing stuff. I want you to remember who you truly are. I want you to live up to who that is. Figure out identity, figure out who it is inside, and be clear about that. Make sure that you don't say who you are with limiting beliefs, a single mother or something like that. Say yourself, see your sights as who you are going to be and live that as if it is happening or has already happened. That's how you transform your life. And even if you are just still in the beginning stages of that transformation, live in the space that it has already happened, and it will. Anyway, I leave that with you today. Super excited to have you join me, and I hope that you understand that you do have a calling, a mission, a purpose, and that you live up to that and do everything that you can to make a difference for others.